Here now is Peter Brookes, a Heritage Foundation Senior Fellow. So let's start with, why are we seeing this right now?
Well, it's interesting. There's a couple of dynamics that could be going on. Of course, Melissa, the president has a new strategy. We're starting to up the number of troops in Afghanistan, probably up to about 15,000. It's not a perfect time of the year in Afghanistan for the fighting season. That's the spring and summer and into the fall. It's cold there, so these sort of attacks can be more effective. The Taliban and the Islamic State want to undermine the credibility of the government, the people's support of the government, and that's important to any sort of insurgency. And I also think, if you look at these recent attacks, they've almost been evenly split between the Islamic State and the Taliban. And I think they're competing with one another for followers, funders, and foot soldiers as they move forward in what they're trying to do there.
Some have also linked this to the idea that the president pulling back funding to Pakistan and saying, you know, they've sort of been our frenemy and haven't been the ally that they should be. Do you think there's a connection there?
There could be. That would be very risky on the part of Pakistan. But you're right. Relations between the United States and Pakistan are very difficult. The Haqqani network, which is al-Qaeda affiliated, the Islamics and the Taliban, which is al-Qaeda affiliated, have found sanctuary in Pakistan for quite some time. And the president has held back aid to Pakistan because of this concern. It's very difficult to win in Afghanistan if the bad guys are able to find a place where they can recover, rest, and plan across the border in the opposing state.
I mean, we are looking at the carnage on the side of the screen here, and it's just, you know, difficult to look at. What do you think is the proper response for the U.S.?
Well, we've got to continue with our strategy. We have a new strategy. We have a new policy. Now the challenge, of course, is implementation. We need to continue to train and advise the Afghan forces so they can take on this fight. And that means pushing our troops down to a lower level to advise more on the battlefield. Okay. But once again, this is a new strategy, and so we have to push forward the implementation.
I want to bring you over to Iran now. Officials from the UN Security Council in D.C. viewing weapons parts that were linked back to Iran, and they were given to rebels in Yemen that were backed by Iran.
Right.
What impact does this evidence have on all the sanction agreements that we're seeing that are in place with Iran? Is that the point of bringing out this evidence?
I think there's a couple of things. First of all, Iran denied they were supplying weapons, especially missiles, to the Houthi rebels in Yemen in the Yemeni conflict. If they are, and I think that's what they're trying to prove here, this shows that they're in violation of a UN Security Council resolution preventing countries from providing weapons into the Yemeni conflict. So there's two things there. Also, I would imagine that the administration wants to also talk to these UN Security Council members about the Iran nuclear deal. Secretary of State Tillerson is in Europe right now, pressuring some European members to renegotiate the deal, to tighten the deal, to get at things like ballistic missiles. So a lot of the people who are partnered to the Iran deal, the P5+1, those P5 are the Permanent Security Council members, were here in Washington to see what the trouble that Iran is up to and view that evidence, even though Iran denies it.
Do you think that they made a compelling case?
Well, I wasn't there.
Well, I mean, do you think it's something the other side of that wants to hear? I mean, you can bring the evidence to bear, but it depends. I mean, on the other side are people that want to do business with Iran because they want the market and all that sort of thing. There's financial interest. So do you think that if the evidence was there, you know, that the other side is interested in hearing it?
Well, there's nothing like evidence. There's nothing like physical evidence to be compelling to this case. Now, you're right, though, Melissa. These other countries have different interests than the United States in Iran. You know, we're talking about Russia, we're talking about China, we're talking about, you know, other European nations that are doing a lot of business there. So hopefully, well, they came down to see it. That was good, right?
Yeah.
They went to the White House and had lunch with the president, so that's positive. Rex Tillerson is out there using diplomacy, and they're put together working groups with European countries to talk about the challenges of Iran, especially their ballistic missiles and the problems with the deal itself that allows uranium centrifuge enrichment, as well as has a sunset provision that allows the deal to end. So I think there is progress being made, and the president says we don't do something about it, I'm going to walk away from it.
There you go. Peter Brookes, thank you for your insight. We appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you.
Wow.